Hey, everybody, welcome to the Paul Young Podcast. Today and two other sessions, we are going to have a good friend of mine, Jason Upton, who is a musician, quite well known. If you're not familiar with him, I'd encourage you to get acquainted with him musically. Good guy, married, 4 kids, has a gift, really, or is a gift. He's going to be talking about 3 different stories over the next ones, stories that are linked to why he wrote specific songs. I think you're going to enjoy them a lot. So welcome to the first one, and let's get going.
You're listening to the Paul Young Podcast.
Tell my story.
I'm a story guy, and I have so many good stories from my childhood.
Oh, good.
So it's
Good.
like,
So just
I
ramble
like that.
on.
I like that one.
Yeah, we just ramble
Yeah.
on and tell some stories. Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you, what's your
Yeah.
favorite Jason Upton song? It's kind of like asking what's your favorite child. Yeah.
Probably Write Every Day Down, the song I wrote about Eddie Helism.
Tell me about that.
No, it's just, I was reading this little book called Tokens of Trust by Rowan Williams. And
Oh,
I
I
get to
love
this,
Ron.
I know, and I got to this section where he's talking about Eddie Helism, and I'd never heard of her. And so she's, he says that she's this, early 20s, non-religious Jewish girl who ends up during the occupation, ends up being taken to Westerbork. And I got to actually go visit that at a time. And she's non-religious. He emphasizes that because it's at Westerbork that she begins to experience God for the very first time. And she says, somebody's got to write all these experiences down that I'm having so that people in the future know that God lived in these times.
Wow.
And I'm literally reading that book, and I'm on that little boat that goes across the channel to the Isle of Wight. And I'm on this boat and I'm reading this little book, and I get to the other side and I just start singing, write every day down, write every day down, write every day down, write every day down. And I get to this little house that sits up on the water, a little bed and breakfast that they had us all staying at. And I was with my band and the team, and we get downstairs for breakfast, and this little boy named Josh comes down, and this lady comes in and she was giving us bread. She was the bread lady. She comes and she's got beautiful shoes on, these orange shoes, And I said, "Man, those are wonderful shoes." It was in the morning, and she said, "Oh, thank you." And then this little boy, Josh, that was sitting next to me, he says, "Oh, I just got boring old black shoes." And all of a sudden I've got boring old black shoes. And then there was an orange on the table. I said, "An orange in my pocket," and I walk the same road every day. We go out for a walk that day, and we're walking down the road, and I had been reading Heschel at the time on how he says, the earth is filled with the glory of God to such a degree that we can't handle it, so we create routine, and routine can often become resistance to wonder. And so
Wow. That's
reading
so
that, and
cool.
I'm walking down the street, and I said, isn't this so beautiful? And there's this vast, vista of the sea, and all these sailboats are crossing. Isn't this beautiful? And we all stopped, and the guy that owned the place, he said, "Yeah, I guess it is beautiful. When you live here all the time, you just kind of walk by it." And I said, "Oh, I've got boring old black shoes, and orange in my pocket. I walk the same road every day. A lifetime can pass by, and if we don't watch it, we'll miss all that it has to say. Write every day down. Write every day down, write every day down. Some days are sunny and some days are cloudy, and some have a slight chance of rain, and some days surprise me and some days excite me, and some days I'll never forget. But write every day down, write every day down." And then, of course, Eddie ends up being sent to Auschwitz. And I walk into this Airbnb kind of place that they had set up that they owned. And the guy that owns it starts telling the story of a time when he was out on the sea and he wanted to sail around the world. And he left his mom in Southampton. He was a drug runner. He ends up in the United States, and during the Jesus movement, he gets saved, and somebody gives him a Gideon Bible. And then he ends up getting somehow to Hawaii. And when he's in Hawaii, he tells people, "I've always wanted to sail the world. And I have this letter from a guy back in Southampton that taught me to sail. Can I get on a boat with anybody that'll let me sail around the world?" And they said, "Well, there's this one guy. He's an old guy, but he only sails alone. and he's really grumpy, but you can go down and ask him because I think he's setting out in the next couple days. So he goes down and he meets this old man, and the guy says, I don't sail with anybody, kind of like swears at him or something. And he just keeps coming back. He says, will you at least, sir, will you read the letter from the guy that taught me to sail? It's my recommendation. So the old man grabs it. He says, well, I'll be damned. This is my only pen pal. The guy that taught him to sail back in Southampton was his only pen pal. He says, if you're all right with him, you're all right with me. Come on, help me with some stuff. And so they set sail and they get out somewhere between Hawaii and New Zealand, or all that area out there, wherever that is. And they're out there, and all of a sudden a big, huge storm comes up. And he's telling this story, right? This huge storm comes up and it's terrifying. And literally this is 30 some years ago, but he starts weeping at the table. And he says, there's something unbelievable when you're on a boat and you're being tossed around at sea. And he says, it's terrifying. So I went below deck and I got into the bed and I strapped myself in. I was trying to get away from the screaming of the wind. He said, I put my hood up over my head and I he goes, I didn't read the little Bible they gave me. I just stuck it over my eyes, my face. And I just started praying. And I said, Jesus, if you get us out of this, I'll live for you forever. And he falls asleep for a moment. And the old man wakes him up by tying a rope to his leg. And the old man says to him, you're going to have to take the rudder off this boat or we're not going to make it. So you're going to jump into the water. And he says, I jumped into the sea. And when you're listening to a man that looks like Popeye tell these stories, this guy is the guy that runs boats now for prime minister. He's a great sailor. He's an amazing guy. But you see this guy who's so tough and he's like weeping, saying the screaming of the wind and the terrifying moment that I'm in. And says, the guy wraps this thing around my leg and I jump into the water. And he says, and all of a sudden the screaming stops. And for a split second, it's just peaceful. And I go up to this rudder and literally I only had to undo like a bolt or two. Anyway, the point is it was just almost falling off. It came off so easy. And then I tugged on the rope. It fell into the water. I came up on the boat and they're going through these storms and it's 80-foot, he said it 80-foot swells and all this stuff. And then it says, and then the storm, we made it through the storm and then we're just drifting and we drift through all of our food supplies and we're thirsty and we get to something like 38 days and then we know we're going to die because nobody's come. And he says, and I realize, oh my gosh, I never told my mom I was getting on this boat. She's going to think I left for America and she's never going to know what happened to me. So I wrote her a letter and I put it into a little bottle and I corked it. And the letter said to the finder, can you get this to my mom at her address? Mom, I'm having the time of my life. You'll be glad to know I made a commitment to stop drug running and gave my life to Jesus here in America. And I got on this boat with this guy and we caught up against some bad storms and lost the rudder. And now we're drifting at sea and not sure we're going to make it. But I just want you to know, Mom, I'm in a good place. And I made a commitment to the Lord that if he gets us out of this, I'll live for him all the days of my life. And so he corks it, throws the bottle into the sea. And all of a sudden the next day, fish start flying into the nets and they're able to eat a little bit longer. And then somehow they survived long enough for a boat to come at like 41 or 42 days. I might be off on a few of the details, but it's something like that. Boat comes by, picks him up. He goes back to Southampton and within just a few months starts drug running again. And then he says, and then one day there was a knock at my door and the letter had somehow made it to his mother. And then his mother knew what he was doing and sent it to him.
Wow.
He's weeping now and he walks behind me and he grabs this now tattered, like when you go into museums and you see the old manuscripts, it had been kind of tattered and it's in a frame and he takes it off the wall and hands it to me. And right there it says, to the finder. So I get to the bridge and I've got his story and Eddie Healy's all wrapped inside my soul. And I'm out on a walk and I hit this, to the finder of letters, sailing in bottles out on the sea. I'm happy to tell you that God lived in these times, for I am a witness to the most beautiful day and the most horrible day. And both have been miracles to me. Write every day down.
Golly.
I got boring old black shoes and orange in my pocket. I walk the same road every day and lifetime can pass by. And if we don't watch it, we'll miss all that it has to say. all my songs have about that much content in them, and I've often thought maybe I should write those down someday for people to have, but I've just always just put the music out. And I think sometimes people are like, "Oh, Jason's singing country songs now," but it's so much more than that.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, so write every day down, Eddie Helison.
Oh, I love it. What was Eddie's book?
Mm, the book that I read about her story, but there's another, there's several of her books that I have and I've read, and it was 2008 when I wrote that, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know Bradley Jerzak, our friend, he
Yeah.
translated one that I
Mm.
read.
Mm. Okay. That's good. Healey?
Oh no, I'm sorry. He didn't. He translated Simone Weil. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not. Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Let's see. I think it's Hillesum. I think.
okay.
Yeah. Hillesum. Yeah.
Got it. Because somebody can track it if they want to just grab a copy somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What a great story.
I've got boring old black shoes and orange in my pocket, and I walk the same road every day. A lifetime can pass by, and if we don't watch it, we'll miss all it has to say. Write every day down. Write every day down. Write every day down. Write every day down. Some days are sunny, and some days are cloudy, and some have a slight chance of rain. And some days surprise me, and some days excite me, and some days I'll never forget. Write every day down. Write every day down. Write every day down. Write every day down. I've got boring old black shoes, an orange in my pocket, and I walk the same road every day. A lifetime can pass by, and if we don't watch it, we'll miss all it has to say.